dig domain information grouper is a Linux command line utility that performs DNS lookup by querying name servers and displaying the result to you. So basically dig is DNS command line utility. DNS command line utility, right, for DNS troubleshooting, understanding name to IP translation, but not built in Windows operating system. Dig is not built-in command line utility. Command line utility in Windows operating system. Windows operating system. Another command very similar to dig is name server lookup command. So NS lookup command is built in, right, in Windows. So in order to use NS lookup, you don't have to do any installation or downloading this command line utility from internet. No, you don't have to, because NS lookup is built in Windows operating system. And just like like understanding name to IP translation in general, NS lookup command is, yes, a very good command in fact, right? But if you want to understand the whole process of like name to IP translation, you want to do a trace of name to IP translation, you can't do that with NS lookup command, right? So in order to understand DNS name to IP translation resolution properly, that what happens when we open browser, types a domain name. So like because query first goes to local DNS server or ISP DNS server with no record found there, then like forwarding DNS query request to root DNS server or root hint server. Root DNS server provide like a referral of like a top level domain, then top level domain provide referral to authoritative domain name servers, right? So if you want to understand the whole like process, you want to do the trace of name to IP translation, yes, that is possible with dig command. So NS lookup and dig both are DNS command line utilities, but dig is more advanced command, but unfortunately not built in Windows operating system, right? And you must be wondering like why I'm talking about dig command here in F5 BIGIP DNS section. F5 BIGIP DNS, because you understand F5 BIGIP DNS means like also known as global traffic manager, is basically does three main functions like intelligent DNS resolution, secure DNS, and isolated DNS. I'll explain in the next section in detail about DNS name to IP translation, secure DNS resolution, and isolated DNS resolution, along with like health monitoring and some other advanced features, right? So basically it's a global server load balancing, F5 BIGIP DNS. But in order to understand intelligent DNS name resolution better, if you understand the whole process involved in name to IP translation in general, right? No matter like whether you are using F5 BIGIP DNS or any other DNS server, because there are more like intelligent DNS server very similar to F5 BIGIP DNS like AWS Route 53 or Traffic Manager in Azure Cloud. I'll explain like those intelligent name to IP translation methods also in a moment, probably in the next section, in fact not in this. But dig is also very important, plays very important role in understanding this name to IP translation, and that's the reason in this section I'm going to show you mainly like how we can run this like dig command on Windows operating system. I mean like installation of dig command on Windows platform or Windows operating system. So my objective is just to show you like installation steps of dig command, and in the next section I will explain step by step name to IP translation. I will then talk about F5 BIGIP DNS, and before I just talk about dig installation, let me quickly show you whether dig command is available on Windows or not. So if you type dig, let me adjust window size here. Okay, so you can see here dig is not recognized as internal or external command. What about NS lookup? NS lookup command, yes, is built in Windows operating system. So if I want to find out a record, so you can type set query type a. A stands for like host record. Host record means name to IP address mapping, name to IP record, right? If we want to find out name server responsible in resolving or authoritative name server for the domain or zone, then yes, we can change the query type to NS, like set query type name servers start of authority or a record. So even NS lookup is like, yes, we do have some important commands in NS lookup, but still we cannot do a trace or and even like some advanced commands not available in NS lookup. So if quickly I show you set query type a, and if I type here, can I have IP address of nettechinfosec.com, and here is the IP address, right? And what about name server responsible in resolving domain name to IP address? So name server 1.bluehost.in and name server 2.bluehost.in means nettechinfosec.com domain or zone like is handled by these two DNS servers, name servers, right? Name servers. And simply if I just want to check mail exchanger record, then I can type here set query type MX. So we have like useful commands available in NS lookup also, right? But if you don't understand like the meaning of name server, authoritative DNS server, or non-authoritative answer, so hang in there, I'm going to explain these concepts also. But before that, I want to show you like how we can perform installation of dig command on Windows operating system, and then I will show you how we can use dig command to understand like the whole like process or steps involved in resolving domain name to IP address. For example, quickly let me talk about a very quick high level overview of like name to IP translation. So for example, here if is my client machine, and if I open browser and type www.nettechinfosec.com. So nettechinfosec.com is the domain name, right? IP address, let us assume there is no IP address found in the cache table, local DNS cache table. The very first time I'm going to access www.nettechinfosec.com. So what happens first, DNS query means on UDP port number 53 goes to local DNS server, enterprise DNS server, maybe ISP DNS server, or DNS server like 888, right? Or any like resolver or name server. First step, right? DNS query. That can I have IP address of nettechinfosec.com. Local DNS server checks its cache table, like do I have any IP mapped with the nettechinfosec.com, and if not, then query is forwarded to one of the root hint server. Root hints. Total there are 13 root hint servers like A dot, B dot, C dot. Physically, there are more than 1,000 servers distributed across the world in different countries, maintained by some non-profitable organizations, right? But total, we find like 13 IPs, 13 name of root hint servers, right? And whenever we configure any DNS server, DNS server can be even your F5 big IP, provision with DNS module, right? And you must be aware with like this software blade or component that we provision on F5 BIGIP system, right? F5 BIGIP system could be a hardware or virtual appliance. So if quickly I show you system resource provisioning, then you just see here like global traffic manager is provisioned here, and also we have different options here. We can create listener object, global server, load balancing option, creating zones, DNS zone, caching option, and some settings. I'll explain like about different options available here in F5 BIGIP DNS. But you understand like local DNS or ASP DNS or 888 enterprise F5 BIGIP DNS, they already like populated with IPs of routine servers like managed by some non-profitable organization. So DNS query is forwarded to a routine server, one of the routine server. What happens here? Routine server never provides IP address, right? What it does, routine DNS server provides reference or IP address of one of the like authoritative names or name server of top level domain. Like top level domain here is .com. So routine server knows like name servers responsible are managing .com top level domain or TLDs. So what happens next now? Request is now forwarded to one of the authoritative name server responsible for this .com's top level domain. So maybe here like a couple of name server. So request is for the forwarded or directed to name server of this .com top level domain. Again, what .com name server does here, provides reference or referral to name server authoritative for Nettech infosec, right? Now the third step, request again forwarded to name server authoritative for Nettech infosec. Okay, so if my domain is registered with Google or maybe GoDaddy, right, GoDaddy or Namecheap or any other registrar, so what happens, request like is directed to the name server of registrar like GoDaddy or maybe Google is also like doing domain name registration and all that, right? So request is forwarded to maybe this GoDaddy registrar or Google domain registrar. Now if you are still using name servers of the registrar, then yes, registrar will provide IP address of like domain www.nettechinfosec.com. But what if you are using your own DNS server, or maybe you are using DNS server of your hosting provider, or maybe F5 BIGIP DNS, then again your registrar means like responsible for registering and managing your domain, and domain name, you understand, like has to be globally unique. So they also maintain global uniqueness of the registered domain names. So now if you are using your own DNS server, maybe DNS server hosted in your own data center, maybe DNS server hosted in Azure cloud, AWS cloud, maybe F5 BIGIP DNS. So what happens here, we just make necessary changes over there. We go to GoDaddy or Google domain name registrar website, and there we point to some different DNS server, right? Maybe F5 BIGIP DNS server or your hosting provider DNS server. So what happens next now, request is now forwarded to your hosting provider name server. Mine is like Bluehost, right? So if like I have pointed to Bluehost DNS server, so next request would be forwarded to Bluehost DNS server. Now Bluehost name server is like authoritative for the domain Nettech infosec. Then finally like the end result or the name to IP translation is done by Bluehost name server. Once resolved, then local DNS server put that information in the cache table. Information is cached like DNS reply information, and then the result is now our answer is given to the DNS client machine, right? This is the whole process. So if you want to visualize, you want to see like all the steps involved in name to IP translation, so yes, dig is the best command in fact, because there is one keyword and that is trace. So if we put like trace keyword a command along with the dig command, then output would show me like all the steps involved here, and I'm particularly going to show you, right? So that's the reason why dig command is very important. If I compare with the NS lookup, even though NS lookup is built in Windows, dig is not, right, because it's a Linux command line utility, but we can run dig command on Windows operating system also. And if quickly I just show you this Google domain, so my domain name is registered with Google registrar. So Google is what? Registrar. In your case, registrar could be GoDaddy, Namecheap, Network Solution, or any other registrar. So what I have done here for this domain is nettechinfosec.com, and it's a Google domain panel. And here you can see I have pointed to Bluehost DNS server, right? Means Bluehost is my hosting provider, right? So now next step would be DNS request would be forwarded to Bluehost, right? And here like there are different records pointing to like mail.nettechinfosec.com or just www.nettechinfosec.com, and you can see here like IP address. Let me quickly show you with NS lookup command also. If I just type here NS lookup, can I have this infosec.com, and here is the IP address 162.214.80.24. and if you look at this like record here, so the same record, right, 80.24. so like Google like just must have like responded or provided referral of like Bluehost DNS server, because I have changed there, right, not using Google DNS server. But can we see like all the like intermediary DNS servers like root hint, top level domain like TLDs, then subdomain and subdomain with dig command? Yes, we can do that, but with NS lookup, no, there is no way, right? And that's the reason like why I'm going to show you how you can run dig command on Windows operating system. Alright, so what's the first step in like this DNS? Because if and I've already I think verified that dig command is not available on Windows operating system. So first step is like download dig this bind application, right? Already I have downloaded and extracted to the folder. You can Google it like download dig or bind. Alright, it's a Unix based application or Linux based application, so either x64 or 86, right? For 64 bits operating system, just download x64, extract to the folder, and already extracted here. You can see here already extracted. So once like you have downloaded bind application, extracted to the folder, then run exe file. Which one? So at the bottom you can see here exe file, application file. Just double click to run the application file. I'm doing that. Install. So first step is downloading bind application. You can easily find the link to download and as a zip file, and once successfully downloaded as a zip file, then extract to any folder, right? And once extracted, then run this exe. Okay, and then after, let this be finished and almost done. Close this, and then copy all the DLL files from this location, extracted folder, and paste to inside like Windows System 32 folder, because we do not want to set environment variables and path and all that. So like to avoid any kind of error message, just find out all DLL files from this folder. So I can see here one DLL file. So select this file with control key of your keyboard, and at the bottom we may find more DLL files here. Yes, copy all DLL files from the location. Is there any more DLL files? Done almost. Yes, there is no more. So already we have like selected all DLL files. Copy from this location, right click, copy, and paste to C drive Windows System32 folder. C drive Windows 32. Paste here. Right click and paste. Right, so all DLL file, paste it here. And now also, because every time we do not want to run bind application from here, so do one thing, also copy dig utility or exe file, this one, dig, and paste to the same location. Copy it, System32, and paste. Okay. And see here, dig command is now working, right? So now how we can like run dig command here. So for example, if you want to run dig command, and for what, www.nettechinfosec.com, right? And maybe I want to send query directly to 888 DNS server. Okay, so I can see here the result. But what about the trace? If I put here plus trace, right, means I want to know the IP address of the domain. Nettech infosec, record is www, and but with trace keyword or command. So let me run this command and then I will show you. And time by time, like during this F5 BIGIP DNS or GTM, I'll be using dig command like very often. So if you look at the output of dig command here, dig www.nettechinfosec.com @888 plus trace, and first like request forwarded to root DNS server, root hint servers. Total there are 13 IPs or 13 domain name, but physically there are more than 1,000 servers across the world, right? So root hint DNS server. These are what? Root DNS server, represented with dot, because dot is the root. And then under this dot there are top level domains like com, gob, .net, org, and then subdomain for the sub or child domain. Okay, so first request is forwarded to root hint server or top level domain. And now if I just show you, and then here like you can also see some records, like resource record signature. I'll talk about that, secure DNS or DNSSEC later on. And then the next level of resolution is with the top level domain. So dot and then com. So name servers are NS responsible for top level domain .com. Com is like the top level domain. And then next step after that, like finally this domain nettechinfosec.com managed by Bluehost DNS server, right? So Bluehost name servers, like both name, these two name servers responsible or authoritative for Nettech infosec, right? So the next request must have been forwarded to root, like this name servers of my hosting provider Bluehost, and the end result is IP address, right? A record A record, and here is the IP address corresponding to the name, and it's a CNAME record, canonical name record, nettechinfosec.com, and then finally ended up in resolving IP, right? So that's the reason, like, why do we prefer dig command as compared with NSLOOKUP. So I hope you understand like how we can run dig command on Windows operating system, and in upcoming lectures I'll be using dig command like very frequently. Maybe NSLOOKUP also. NSLOOKUP is also a very good command line utility, right? Because if just you want your objective is just to know the IP address or authoritative name servers, or like SOA record, start of authority. So yes, you can use NSLOOKUP command also. So both commands are like good commands, like I would rather say DNS command line utility, right? So in next section I will talk about F5 BIGIP DNS or GTM, what are the benefits, advantages of F5 BIGIP DNS, what are other intelligent DNS servers available nowadays. Okay, so for this section, that's all.